Hello students, let us take an overview of syllabus of the course Internet Programming. Internet programs are the programs which are used for accessing services as well as data from World Wide Web or Internet. Here we are going to study a programming language PHP, that is Hypertext Preprocessor Language. PHP is widely used open source general purpose language, and it is more suited for web development, that is for writing web applications. The objectives behind to study this course: the first one, to learn core PHP, then to learn server side scripting language. And what are the server side scripts? These are the scripts which are employed on server to give customized response according to the client's request. Then second objective is to learn PHP database handling, that data is stored using the database management system, and how to access those data by using the PHP programs that we are going to learn here. The prerequisite for learning this course is we should have a knowledge of hypertext markup language, that is HTML, because web pages are developed using the hypertext markup language, and so that's why we should have the knowledge of HTML. And in first year we have studied HTML, we have performed practicals using HTML, so we have already fulfilled this prerequisite for studying internet programming. So we can proceed further. This is the content of the syllabus, which contains total 6 chapters. The first chapter is Introduction to Web Technique. Here we are going to study a web technique, that is the PHP. We are going to introduce with PHP in this first chapter. All the basic concepts related with PHP, those we are going to study here. Second chapter, Function and String. How to write user-defined functions in PHP programs, how to call those functions, which string operations are possible in PHP, how to perform those operations. These concepts are going to cover in this second chapter. Third chapter deals with arrays. Arrays are the data structures, linear data structures, where elements are get stored sequentially. And in PHP, how to declare arrays, how to initialize these arrays, and how to access elements from those arrays. Which are the different types of arrays in PHP? These concepts we are going to study in this third chapter. Fourth chapter is the Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming. So students, remember, the PHP is procedural as well as object-oriented programming language. And we can write PHP programs using the object-oriented concept also. So how to write those programs, that we are going to cover in this fourth chapter. Fifth chapter, Files and Directories. How to manage data using files, how to access those data through the PHP programs, and how to arrange these files under the directories through PHP programs. Those concepts we are going to see in this fifth chapter. Sixth chapter, Databases. We know that we can manage our data using the database management system effectively and efficiently. And there are different database management systems we have studied, that is a MySQL is there, PostgreSQL is there. And through application programs, how to access those data from databases. That means we are going to write the application programs using PHP, and how to access those data through that PHP application program, that we are going to study in this sixth chapter. This is the content of the syllabus. Now let us start for the first chapter, Introduction to Web Server. So first of all, we need to introduce computer networks. What are computer networks? Multiple computer systems are connected via the network, and they can communicate with each other through these networks. And if we consider the architecture of the computer network, in that client server architecture and peer-to-peer architecture are there. In client server architecture, the systems are designated as a server, and they are intended for providing different services to other computer systems. And the computer systems in a network which are requesting the services of those servers, they are called as what? The clients. So here in this diagram we can see the client server architecture, where there is one computer system which is designated as a server. It might have been providing some services to other computer systems, and these systems are connected to the internet network. And these clients, here we have shown the multiple clients are there, and these clients, they can make requests to this server for using its service through the network. Now depending upon which service is provided by the server, there are different types of server. Application server is there. That application server, it provides different applications or programs to other systems. Backup server is used for taking backup of data for security. Then database server, that server provides the database management system. It manages the data in that database management system, and that clients can access that data by requesting that database server. Email server is there. Email server is the server where all the emails, for example, suppose one organization maintains its own server where they can store all their emails. Whatever the emails are received or sent, those emails can be maintained by that email server. Now, instead of storing those emails on cloud, that organization can maintain one server, and that server is responsible for maintaining the emails, storing the emails there. Then file server, that is the data is organized in terms of file, and data is transferred in terms of file only. Then print server is there, that is the printer is managed among multiple systems by this print server. So whenever any client has to make the use of printer, then first of all it will make request to that print server, and then that server will manage that printer to that client. Then web server. What are web servers? Now these are the web servers, the systems which manages various websites, and whenever any client has to access the information from any website, then it makes request to that web server, and that web server listens the request of the various clients, and according to their request it sends response to various clients. That is the web server. Now as we have seen that whenever any client, or that is we can say user, has to access information from web server, then it has to make request. Then how it can make request? There should be any mechanism to interact that client with the web server, and that mechanism is nothing but an application program that is called as the web browser. And using that web browser, clients and server can interact with each other. And whenever any information is to be retrieved from World Wide Web, then at that time that information can be retrieved through the web server by the client by making request to the web browser. And here we can see the popular web browsers. Examples of popular web browsers. Chrome is there. This Chrome is the Google's web browser. Firefox is the Mozilla web browser. Internet Explorer, which is developed by Microsoft. Then Safari, which is the web browser of Apple systems. Then Opera is the versatile web browser. It can be used with any operating system. Then again that Conqueror is also a web browser. And again many web browsers are available. Now as we have seen that whenever any client has to access information from web server, then it uses the web browser, and through the web browser it can interact with the web server. Now whenever, that means this client and server, they communicate with each other. So for example students, whenever two people wants to communicate with each other, then at that time they have to follow some rules for communication. Means what? First of all, which language they have to use for communication, then which type of communication will be there, then for what the communication is there. So these are what the certain rules, and by agree upon those rules they can communicate with each other. In the same way, whenever client and server, they have to communicate with each other, or we can say the two computer system they want to communicate with each other, then they should have to follow the protocols, use the protocols. And what are these protocols? These protocols are the network protocols. There are certain rules, and those rules can be used for their communication. And there are different protocols are there. HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol is there. FTP File Transfer Protocol is there. Then TCP/IP Transmission Control Protocol is there. SMTP is there. POP is there. And these protocols you are going to study in networking, the course that is the networking in detail. Here you just consider that client has to access information from the web server. Then at that time it uses a protocol, network protocol, that is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So it makes the request by using HTTP protocol and it receives the response again through the HTTP. That is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now students, let us see in detail what is this Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This HTTP, this protocol is generally used for communication over the World Wide Web. And web pages are developed using standards of HTML, that is the Hypertext Markup Language. And these HTML pages traverse through the web using HTTP. Now, this HTTP is called as a stateless protocol. Why it is called as a stateless protocol? Because each command is executed independently without any knowledge of the commands that are executed before it. That means in this HTTP protocol, every command is get executed independently. It never stores the information of the commands which are get executed previously. So that's why it is stateless. It never maintains the current state and the previous state. So in examination, the question can be asked, why HTTP is called as a stateless protocol? Now, as HTTP is a stateless protocol, so is there any advantage of it? Yes, there is an advantage. If the protocol is a stateless protocol, then the host do not need to retain information about the users between the requests. Get it? This is the main advantage of the stateless protocol. Then, Uniform Resource Locator, URL. What is URL? Resources to be accessed by HTTP. They are identified using a Uniform Resource Locator, that is what? URL. And Uniform Resource Locators, these are the strings that specify how to access network resources such as HTML documents, and they are part of the more general class of universal resource identifiers. So whenever that is the we search for any resource, we have to access any resource, then at that time what we do, we type a string, that is the HTTP, then name of that web page. That means what here? We are using the hypertext transfer protocol, and again we are specifying the name of that resource also, and that is what is the URL. Every resource is accessed by this HTTP by using this uniform resource locator. So up to this, we have taken an overview of syllabus. Then we have started for the first chapter, that is Introduction to Web Techniques. In that, first of all, we have seen the client-server architecture, then different types of servers, web browser, and how client can communicate with the web server by using HTTP protocol that we have seen. In our next lecture, we will start for introduction to PHP. Thank you.